Hello and welcome to the Bull and Specs podcast. I'm Shane O'Connor. He's Adrian Lacey. If you've not joined us before, quickly let me tell you the story so far. Two bald men with glasses got together and decided they wanted to start a podcast. They said, let's start this podcast and let's make it hugely entertaining. What can we do it about? We said, well, why don't we just take some of the stories from the news and then we can talk about them, and we'll take two of those and we'll also tell people what we did in our week as well. They said it'd never work. We said it will, didn't we, Adrian?
Turned out they were right, though.
Yeah, that was disappointing, wasn't it, that? I didn't really see that coming, but
I think we're overselling it. No, it did. Oh, I think it worked. It works on its own terms.
Yeah.
Summer term and spring term are my favourite.
We should have had the Dick Barton music under that, shouldn't we, really, I suppose, to just add a little heightened drama and tension and...
Yes, indeed. Or dragnet.
And interest. Yeah. Before we start the show this week, can I just ask you something? Because
Please do.
You are my...
Hero?
Don't put words into my mouth.
Nemesis.
Barometer, I was going to say.
Okay.
When it comes to all things posh, because you know you go to cocktail parties and stuff like that.
No, I do not. You think I do?
You do. That's what all you do in Kent. You're all sat there with your little finger out having cocktails.
Not this part.
Up in the Midlands, we have cockerel parties. There's something completely different. I'll tell you about that.
And cockroach.
Yeah. You know when you've been dunking your tea?
Dunking your
yes. tea. I've had some cow biscuits. Are they actually called cow biscuits? No, they're malted milk. Sorry. While I was waiting for you to start the podcast.
Right.
But I instinctively brought a spoon with me.
Yeah.
Because when you've dunked, do you have sugar in your tea?
I don't, but are you talking about the bits that the flotsam and jetsam?
No, it's never sweet enough after I've had the biscuits in there. That's the problem with it, really. But
may I suggest you have dry cream crackers, which aren't sweetened, and then you won't get that effect.
Is that Cockney rhyming slang? Doctor,
I'm completely cream cracker.
Doctor, I've got dry cream crackers.
Is that the worst thing that's ever happened to you? Because if it is, you haven't had a bad little life.
No, I just wanted a bit of advice, that's all, because I know you're quite sophisticated. I just thought...
Well, so it's sophisticated to dunk... Well, I think my dunking days are over, if I'm honest.
Oh, all right. Okay.
And that includes donuts.
So no dunking, no spoon. Anyway, who wants to go first in terms of what we did this week? Because I
thought that was it. I thought that was the highlight of your week.
No, I've got a better one than that. I need your advice, actually, as a bit of an agony aunt, uncle.
Uncle,
auntie,
right.
Uncle. Yeah.
I aren't an aunt, but I am an uncle. You go first. How can I help?
Okay.
The doctor is in.
It's happened to me twice now, Doctor.
Yeah.
And I don't want to harp on about it, but I am a new father, as 'twere.
Yes.
In actual fact, my son just reached the milestone of 5 months the other day.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, it's him, not me. I sort of did
well, pass them on.
I did my bit a while ago, but thanks anyway. I'll pass it on to him, yeah. And twice now, because I'm an older parent, I've been mistaken for his grandfather.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
No. I'm quite relaxed about it all. But I'm just wondered, should I actually... It reminds me of when I started losing my hair when I was 19 years old, and all through my 20s, I would always have people come up to me, but they're what I would call thick. And they'd come up to me and go...
As was their hair, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, thick and luxuriant, that is. And they'd come up to me and they'd say, did you know you're losing your hair? As if I lived in a house that was devoid of any mirrors. And in the same way, I kind of wonder whether I should I, agony uncle, should I deal with it? I mean, should I say, actually, no, I'm his father?
No, I think you should probably spin him a yarn, knowing what a good anecdotalist you are. No, I'm not his grandfather. I was on a train once where what appeared to be a child's grandfather... his phone went, so he's looking after this, I think a toddler rather than a baby. And then because I'm a nosy old so-and-so, I heard him say, oh yes, and I've just told him his great-grandfather's going to take him to see da-da-da. Great-grandfather is doing the childcare. So that means there's another 2 generations,
Yeah.
presumably out at work or doing something that...
Down the pub, if they've got any sense.
Well, it could be that, yeah.
Yeah.
If they're from your lot.
Now, I don't want to mention, this happened to me in the same town, actually, and I don't want to mention where it is, but they're quite inbred there. So
That doesn't really narrow it down that much in this benighted island.
No, it doesn't, does it really? That's why I thought, well, I better not mention it. But so they're kind of, it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be unusual, I suppose, in this particular town for them to see a child out with their grandfather or great-grandfather or indeed great-great-grandfather who was also their uncle, if you've got a pen and paper. I just,
Fun enough.
All I want to know, do I have fun with it? Do I say, do I get indignant? I don't get indignant about it. I couldn't really care less what other people think. But I just wonder, I just kind of sit there and think, how should I react to this?
Is that really true that you don't care at all, or do you feel...
It's happened to me before. I went when I went out with a girl for about 4 years, lovely girl, and I went to her graduation, and I said to one of the security guards, this is at Birmingham University, I think it was. I said to one of the security guards, "Where's the graduation?" And he went, "Oh, it's just over there, mate." He said, "You must be very proud of your daughter." And I went, "Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm very." Now, I've kind of come to the conclusion that I've looked like I've had a really rough paper round, and and everybody thinks I'm a lot older than I am. I don't. So yeah, I mean that ship sailed, but indignant a long time ago.
Right, the good ship Indignance. I remember it well.
Yeah. But so you think I should just have a bit of fun with it and
well, knowing you, see, I'm not very good at that, but a mate of mine in a complete different scenario, he tried to move a chair once at a restaurant, and then it took him a few goes before he realised it was nailed to the floor. And you see that sort of situation I'm lousy at, and I just go really anxious and sort of slink away. You would make great comedy capital out of it. Oh, let me try this other chair as well. Oh, while I'm there, I'll put a bag on my head or something. And then you would start juggling.
I don't know if it's just too close to home. Then I think, and also part of me thinks, I don't even, I mean, in one occasion, it was somebody who worked in a shop, and I'm thinking, I don't even know you. I don't really want to start explaining my family tree to you. Do you know what I mean? That's part of it, it's a bit too close to home, Adrian, I think. That's part of the problem. I don't know, but...
Right.
But I don't. I'll let you know.
There is a sensitivity a bit deeper down. Then, are you saying?
No, not sensitive, but I just like kind of. I just want to be private about it. Really, I just don't want to. I don't want to start discussing my genetics with a total stranger. I think that's the. Do you know what I mean? Like when you worked on radio, presenting, you always, you were yourself, but you always kept a bit for you, didn't you? Do you know what I mean?
There's it's the difference between the private and the personal.
Yeah.
You probably have done the radio courses.
And I think that's the line that it's over, maybe. I don't know. But I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know how I get on. Anyway, I've eaten into way too much of your time. Thank you very much.
Right.
Thanks for the therapy. What did you do this week?
It's 50 quid an hour. Right. Yes. What did I do? Well... I've got 2 things to demonstrate, a look and tell. And for our listeners, don't panic. One of them I will describe, and I think I will leave it to Shane to describe the others. Tomorrow, as I speak, I'm going to someone's party, and she wants it to be a 1940s theme.
Cocktail party, is it?
No, it's a Dunking Biscuits party.
My lord, I rest my case on his poshness.
It's not... It's just his royal poshness. It is not a cocktail party. And especially when you see what's come. So I've got 2 types of headgear. Now, I know what you're going to say with the first one.
Can I just say, I bet you get there, the first thing you say is, "I'll have a cocktail, please." Oh, no, I won't. I'll have a cup of tea.
No, I've got that to live down.
Go on.
I realise, like the Mad Hatter, I've left the price on. Mad Hatter is a bit of a clue. So 2 types of headgear I've got to demonstrate. I'm just taking the label off and going off mic with it.
1940s this is. 1940s.
Yeah, now, straight away, I know this hat wasn't first conceived in the 1940s.
He's already back.
You don't need to tell me that. So would you like to describe... No, I'll describe it. It doesn't really work with headphones. It is your actual bowler hat. But perched rather precariously on top of my headphones. and if I take the headphones off, I can't hear you. So
It looks like
actually,
one of those hats the Hasidic Jews wear.
It does, and it also looks like I've got the locks coming from it, with the cable from the headphone.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's a bog standard bowler hat.
They're not called locks, are they? Though locks are a food, aren't they? Jewish food.
Are they?
Yeah, the hair's called something else.
It's not couple. Couple is the head. Yeah, you can tell.
I failed.
I haven't done my research as usual. Anyway, so that's one type of headgear. Do you know when? Moving on.
Yeah.
Do you know when that's from?
What year?
It's not. Yeah, it's not actually from the 40s.
It's about 1910, anyway, is it, or something?
It's actually older than that. It's
18,
it goes back to
1887.
Oh, I knew you were going to press me on the year. It's certainly 19th century, yeah, Victorian era.
Wow.
But it comes and goes in waves and so on. But I found Mr. Wiki helped me find a 1940s reference, which was a Bing Crosby movie called Something to Utopia, in which he wears a bowler. So I thought, Bing Crosby, that'll do. 1946, bish bash bosh.
Clever.
Now, you will need to fill in while I get the second piece of headgear for the 1940s.
Heck, how big is it?
Well, I couldn't possibly comment.
Oh, go on. He's off anyway.
If you're take my headphones off, I can't hear you now, so you'll have to talk to our noble audience. Excuse me.
He makes a noise when he goes. If you're listening, by the way, don't worry, we will describe it. Just incidentally, when he's talking about Bing Crosby, my wife dresses my son as Bing Crosby in like light blue slacks and a cardigan. Like I say, he's only a few months old. It's very disconcerting, particularly as she's also bought him one of the golf clubs as well. It's a bit weird, really. Anyway, Adrian's just gone off, and you can hear him coming back, can't you? I always say he wears big boots or flippers. I can't tell which one it is. Now, I don't know whether this is so much headgear or a critique on my breath. Hang on. Oh, it's my breath. I knew it was something wrong. He's wearing a gas mask. That's awesome. Where the hell did you get that from?
It was a shop just down the road. Can you hear me?
Yeah. That's. Can you do the rest of the podcast with that on?
Yeah, I would love to.
That is.
I'll tell you what, though.
Oh, that is awesome.
Oh my goody aunt. I feel like a Dalek now. That's right. So yes, I've just for our listeners. Oh, I'm gonna have to take it right off.
Oh, you can't go in that.
First time I put it on, I instantly couldn't breathe, and I realised it's like leaving the lens cap on and trying to take a photo. That was plugged into the front, which is a plastic seal, dear listeners.
Wow.
Oh.
Did you buy that, did you say, or have you rented it?
Yeah, no, I bought it, but it probably cost about the same time.
What's the going rate for a gas mask these days?
I can only tell you locally. I haven't got my glasses now, I can't see you. What do you think that will cost? It's genuine ex-military. Oh, I like the fact it said on the label, never used. I thought, well, that's good.
Well, that's
I won't
a
be
relief.
breathing in chlorine as I put it on.
40 quid?
No, a mere 15.
Oh, wow, get me one.
I have done. No, I haven't.
Do they do them in blue?
They did for kids. Correct me if I'm wrong. Not that we were around. Grandad. See what I did there?
Yeah.
But we've seen in the history books, they did a Mickey Mouse version for kids, didn't they? With ears.
Yeah.
Yeah. To make it, less frightening.
Yeah, there was one on the TV the other day, and they used to have a baby respirator as well, didn't they? Where the adult would pump the thing to help them breathe.
If you actually think of the consequences, it's actually horrendous,
horrific, isn't it? So what's the upshot then? Before we finish this section, are you
right?
Bowler hat and gas mask, or what are you going to do?
I was going to ask you. You asked my advice. I was going to ask you. Do they set each other off nicely?
Actually, couldn't you go? I've got a solution for you. Couldn't you go as John Haig, the acid bath murderer?
Oh, cheery soul you are.
Because wasn't he around in the 1940s? Because he wore a bowler hat and he also had a gas mask for the sulfuric acid fumes, yeah?
God, I bet you're fun at parties. I'll see if I can get you an invite.
I don't know why nobody invites me. This is the Bull and Specs podcast with Shane O'Connor and Adrian Lacey. I want to turn our attention now to a story that I saw in the week, Adrian. I don't want to become the Grim Reaper of the Bull and Specs podcast, talking about death all the while, but I had to bring this subject to the forum that we have because I couldn't get my head around it. I'll be honest with you. It's the story of David Goodall, who at the age of 104, decided that he wanted to end his life. And he went to a clinic in Switzerland where they facilitate assisted suicide, and he ended his life. And part of me, I mean, it made more sense than, when you hear somebody in the prime of their life ending their life, or somebody with an illness ending their life. But there's a guy who'd lived 104 years on the planet and suddenly decided enough is enough. That was the thing that intrigued me the most, was how do you get to 104 and go, I've had enough now? Surely 100 would be the round figure. That, do you know what I mean? I was I was really perplexed by the whole story. And I kind of thinking, I'm not sure whether I'd ever reach that age where I thought, I want to check out now, because you don't know what tomorrow brings. Does that make sense?
Can I make the obvious remark? I mean, I know where you're coming from, but the obvious remark, notwithstanding what you were saying about being mistaken for an older person, you are very definitely not 104. And so you've I thought you'd find that reassuring.
Yeah.
But to be moderately serious, you haven't had all the years he's clocked up and the sense of decline, and that's his word, not mine. Or maybe I'm slightly paraphrasing, but he's talking about losing his eyesight over the past 6 years. That's a long time to be losing eyesight.
That just made it even worse for me, though, because I'm thinking, well, over 6 years, like he would have been 98, you'd think, well, at 100, I've had enough now, and I'm losing my eyes. Do you know what I mean? It just really started me thinking, because I'm just thinking, how do you get? And I know what you're saying is that he felt he was deteriorating, but he wasn't over the last year. He thought, oh, my eyesight's deteriorating, and now I'm going to end it. Or I don't know. I don't know. It hit me like no other assisted suicide story ever has, because I think it was because of his age.
And the fact he hasn't, as such, got a terminal illness, has he?
No.
Yeah. But I can really respect him wanting to be in control. He's going with dignity, isn't he? I mean, it's called Dignitas, isn't it, that organisation? I'm not that is not mentioned in this article. But I think that shows... Well, he's going when he's got faculties, when he can choose to do that. I mean, hats off to him flying from Australia, his home in Australia, up to Switzerland. I mean, that's the amazing thing to me. So I find it moving, but I'm less shocked by it than you. And I suppose, if I'm honest, I'm a bit surprised that you're so moved. I'm still trying to understand where you're coming from. I think I do.
I think it's because, and you say about like having, because this is what I started to think about, having control, dying with dignity and all the rest of it. But there must be a point at which, for want of a better description, the button is pressed and the sequence starts and the countdown to your demise begins. And what if in that period of time you think, actually, I've changed my mind? Then you're not dying. You're not in control. You're not dying with dignity. It's different, isn't it, to say I am going to be the one that will end this, or the nurse that is here with me, or the doctor who's here, whoever it is here with me, is the one that's going to end it. It's a different thing from somebody deciding that they're going to kill themselves in whatever way. I don't know, but I think it's his age. I think that's the thing that shocked me the most about it, is that how do you get to be 104 and then... I've never heard of this before. I've never, I'm 52 and in all the years I've...
You're exactly half his age.
Yeah, well, curiously enough.
Young man.
But do you know what I mean? It's just like, how do you get to that stage where you say, I've lived enough now? in any situation, in any circumstance, I don't know. But to go through to 104 and then suddenly decide, maybe it is. Maybe if you got there, and I had an uncle who died last year who reached the age of 100, and I think the feeling was that once he'd got to that milestone, he kind of thought, I've had enough now, and was quite happy not to be treated if he wasn't well.
Right. Yeah.
That I can understand. Like it's a psychological milestone, isn't it? You get to 100 and you think, well, I've got to 100 now. What's ahead of me? Okay, that's not great. That's not what I want. And so,
But I could point out that 100 it is arbitrary. I mean, we know we only count in base 10 because that's the number of fingers we got.
Yeah,
fingers and thumbs. So you could say that you get to 85. Some people might say that's a good innings. Although I suspect, I do like Joan Bakewell, who became a sort of czar for older people, didn't she, under Labour? Gordon Brown was it? Or Blair Brown. I actually met her relatively briefly, but I think that name drop's irrelevant now I think of it, because I heard the quote on the telly or the radio. She said, who wants to live to 99? Sorry, I've ruined it now. Who wants to live to 100? Someone who's 99. She's making the point that wherever you get to, you might want a bit longer.
Yeah.
But obviously it doesn't apply to him there. But another thing, thinking around this, he might have been calculating, well, it's not going to get any better. You're not suddenly going to go into reverse. It's not 2001: A Space Odyssey or whatever, if I remember the ending there correctly. That, there would come a point, and potentially within the next year for him, where he couldn't even get on that plane. It's amazing to be able to, as I say, to fly that far.
I'm surprised that I didn't fly at 104, to be honest with you. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, but again, it's like you're thinking, oh, I better not leave it too late to get on the plane. I'll wait till I'm 104.
I get where you're coming from, but a lot of older people say, I remember Tony Benn, when he got older, the Labour politician for our younger listeners and viewers, saying, I've got absolutely no ambition now. And this is a guy who would have been, I won't say ruthlessly ambitious, but very ambitious as a younger man, got to the top table in politics around the cabinet, wanted to be leader of the Labour Party, didn't make that, but... and he seemed very calm. Again, forgive the hashtag name drop, but I did meet him again briefly in my work for a leading broadcaster. And what I noticed about him, it was absolute serenity in his face. He was smiling the whole time. I would start to say something to him, and before he even knew whether I was going to deliver good news or bad news to him, he was smiling. And that just seemed to be his attitude to the world. If I could develop that at any age, I'd be doing well.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not judging the guy. God bless David Goodall, and I hope in the end that's what he wanted, and you kind of respect his decision. I tell you one thing I did notice, and it made me think. I'm not making light of his situation, or what he chose to do, but it said that he passed away listening to Beethoven's Ode to Joy. Did you see this?
I think I'm looking at a slightly older version where he was anticipating listening to that.
Oh, okay,
so he did actually get his wish on that.
Yeah. And he died whilst he was listening to Beethoven's Ode to Joy, and I just thought maybe this is the kind of person I am. I started to think, what would I want to listen to if I was in that situation? And
don't tell me chirpy, chirpy, cheep, cheep.
No, it wouldn't be music. How weird is that? I was just thinking it would be some kind of radio comedy. It'd be Hancock or something more contemporary, or that to me that's what that would be almost like a bedtime story, as it were. Being rented to hear the human voice as well, rather than music is colder and more remote. Classical music, certainly. What about you? Any thoughts on what?
Well, I was just thinking, what if the very last words you heard were, Half a pint? What was it? A pint? Half an armful? Oh, see, I can't even say it. Remind me what the line is from Hancock.
A pint? That's very nearly an armful. Yeah. yeah.
This could be the very last word. Would be good to go out on a chuckle, wouldn't it? Well, I decided many years ago, as a Beatles fan, and I don't think I've changed my mind, I would love to go out. Which one? You have to second guess. I thought you were starting to sing one then.
Hello, goodbye.
And it's good night from him. No, keep going. You're miles off. I'm not sure how much of this I could put up with.
Go on, I don't know.
Yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away. Yeah, great, thanks. Can I just request you not to be by the bed? That's just what I don't need. No, let it be. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary says to me. And actually, it turned out his mother was called Mary. So I thought it was a religious thing, as in, because, of course, he had Catholic roots, the Liverpudlian thing and so on, Irish connections and so on. But no, actually, it was his mother. So she was literally Mother Mary. So, yeah, you've gone strangely quiet.
No, I was just thinking it's a nice choice, actually. And Beatles as well. I just thought that the whole classical music would be too clinical for me. But yeah, I'd never maybe somebody singing would be more comforting. I don't know. I mean, let's hope it's, if we are ever in that situation, it's a long, long time ahead yet, eh?
You said we as if we were going to do it together, but
I've got the paperwork filled in.
So we're into the final furlong of Bull and Specs, which I like to think of as the thinking person's Pinky and Perky. Anyway, I'm not sure which is which, but I'm Adrian, he's Shane, and we're talking about, get this, literally, 10,000 quid when you're 25. I'm afraid it's not a confirmed policy. I haven't seen it in writing properly in a manifesto, although, of course, I wouldn't believe it if I did. But, actually, apparently they've analysed 80% of manifesto commitments are actually fulfilled. So
they are? Oh, well, I thought you were going to say 80% is swept by the wayside.
No, it's just we make a lot of noise about the other 20%. Anyway, this is a proposal from the Resolution Foundation, including one David Two Brains Willits. Some of you may remember as a Tory minister, education minister, secretary, I should say, at one point. Anyway, he's got this bee in his bonnet, and he's not the only one, about wealth inequality between the generations. So what do you make of this, Shane?
I've got a pint of boiling blood that you can have.
You've always got a pint of boiling blood.
No, I mean...
you've got half an armful.
Why do they wait until I've just turned 50 to decide that they're going to give 25-year-olds 10 grand? I mean, I've never heard anything so ridiculous in all my life. And do you know, this is like, if you repeat a lie often enough, people believe it's a truth. This what did they say? Finance inequality or whatever they're talking about. What a load of hogwash. I just don't believe it's true. People say, oh, how difficult it is for people to save up now. It's all about aspiration now, Adrian. I think it's all about, you're trying to tell me that when my parents were saving to get on the first rung of the property ladder, and they hadn't got a stick of furniture in the house, that they had it easier than the kids of today who won't go anywhere in a house until they bought their 52-inch colour TV. And their PlayStation. It's just rubbish, absolute rubbish.
You are sounding like an old person, I have to say. Look, hats off to your parents' generation and mine. I mean, they had all sorts of things to contend with. The minor matter of a Second World War. Amongst them.
What about the recession we lived? What about the recession we lived through when unemployment was at 3 million? What about that? What about our generation who worked through that and still managed to save at interest rates at 15%? 15%, and you're telling me the kids today have got it harder? Come on.
Well, come on. House prices are disproportionately higher now.
And they are. No, they're not. And I tell you another thing is because we moved house recently. I'm still on the. What's the website where you buy houses? Rightmove.
Zoopla.
You see, that's the north-south
you see
divide.
it? Is that my cocktail party coming up?
You see, you're all Zoopla.
Do you like my cocktail shirts with the extra patterning where you can't really see it in the collar, the inside?
Honestly,
that's how wealthy I am. I have patterns where you can't see them properly.
I'm
Check
telling
my
you, folks,
patterned shirt.
If you went to any household in Kent tonight, that's all they'd be all sipping cocktails and looking at houses on Zoopla. That's all they'd be doing. It's a fact.
And Marjorie down the road, well, apparently it's £250,000 more than when she bought it 10 years ago. Can you believe it?
The big thing that
if
they
only
say,
that was my lifestyle.
The big thing that they say now is that it's there is no affordable housing, and again that's just not. It's simply not true.
It's not where you want it if you're in the southeast.
Oh no!
If your work is there.
London and southeast it's another planet, isn't it? I mean, it's just overheated to a degree now. Where
we call it cocktail planet.
And we watched a program the other day about a girl who she bought a Dutch. Well, she had it made actually, a Dutch barge, and she's living on the water, living on the canal just outside Watford.
Hey, my old hometown.
Oh, is that
on the Grand Onion Canal?
On the Grand Onion Canal, exactly. And she, I think she had this thing built, Adrian, to her own spec, and it was beautiful. It was 175,000, and she said this kitchen because it was a Dutch barge. They're twice the width of the ones that we have.
Yeah,
and she said this is twice the size of the kitchen that I rent, of the flat that I rent in London. She said it's gone mad now, and she's found another way of doing it. And
good on her.
Yeah, I thought it was really quite clever. But
is she buying it with someone, or did she go Dutch? See what I did there?
I do. I see what you did. But yeah, I don't know. I have trouble believing what are alleged to be basic facts in this story, and that's the problem I have. But not least the fact, I'm just bitter because, like I say, they wait until I'm over 50 before they decide 25-year-olds are going to get 10 grand.
Funny that
they're not going to get the cash, are they? Though it's going to be, it's like a £10,000 credit, isn't it? From what I understand,
I would imagine they're going to make it pretty difficult for you to, spend it all on illicit substances. Yeah, that wouldn't look too good.
Yeah, I bought £10,000 worth of cocktails.
Which should last me for the weekend. But that's if I share it out. Now, yes, here's the thing. Well, there is a problem with house prices, but I think it's not addressed by giving everyone 10K. It's by building more wretched houses. That's the only answer to bringing down the prices.
Don't you want to build nice ones?
Well, wretched ones are cheaper, sure.
That's true, yeah. Where do you, like in the London and South East, though, where do you build them? Given that now outside of London, it's quite interesting. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. They've stopped building flats now outside London. If you go to places like Birmingham, for example, which I know reasonably well, there was an area of Birmingham called Castle Vale, which in actual fact is near the where they make Jaguar cars. And it used to be the place where Spitfires were tested. It used to be the airfield for the Spitfires during the war. But they built this in the 60s. They built all these high-rise, and Castle Vale was a problem estate because of the high-rise buildings. So they demolished all the high-rises and they built all masonettes and stuff now. But of course, that then means that you haven't got the same capacity that you had previously.
Less density, yeah.
So what do you do? I've always thought there's nothing wrong with flats, but if you're the kind of person that decides to have a wee in the lift, don't be surprised if you get up in the morning and your lift smells of wee.
Yes.
So I don't hold that there's a problem with that particular type of property. It was the people didn't feel that they were engaged and part of it, I suppose,
and possibly not maintained as well as it should be. I mean, yeah.
They were spending all the money on the cleaning up the wee in the lift, weren't they? That's the problem.
Well, exactly, yeah. But you go to London, the Barbican area, and that gives the lie to the fact that blocks of flats have to be run down or whatever. It's the poshest place you could imagine.
Isn't that all brutalist architecture there? Isn't it?
It's pretty brutal, yes.
Like concrete and all that kind of malarkey.
It is, yeah.
Isn't that what
no one can find their way around
it? Is that
Truffle Tower? Did you say
Trefoil? Is it Trefoil Tower?
Oh, you know more about this than I do. Are you sure you haven't been to cocktail parties?
It was.
When I haven't been looking?
Well, the only reason I know is because it was designed by an architect called Emo Goldfinger. And
that sounds like a composite name.
It does. You don't know whether to laugh or cry at that one, do you? Really? Cause,
you don't. Well, you do a bit of both.
What's your name? Emo. Oh, brilliant! Whatever party is Emo. What's your surname? Goldfinger. Not so happy now, you know.
No.
So.
Well, certainly the Barbican was where the poor John Smith, the late Labour leader, that's where he died at the end, but they sent a helicopter to him. I remember seeing the footage of it, I think, hovering over Barbican Flat. So, I mean, if a leader of one of the big political parties lives there, you imagine it's probably quite well heeled.
Mm.
So, where does that leave us? Yeah, more houses need to be built. The other half of this is the Resolution Foundation with, as I say, David Willits, one of its leading lights. The other half, the quid pro quo, if you will, if that doesn't sound too cocktail party to you, is that I've got to be so careful now. I'm developing a complex. That people of pensionable age who carry on working should pay national insurance. I can't see an argument against that, really. Mm. Until I get there.
Only people who carry on working, is that?
Yeah. So you're bringing in the earnings.
All right, the argument against it is you've got to ask yourself, why are people continuing to work past pensionable age? And there's only generally going to be one reason for that, isn't there? Is the pension.
I'd say two reasons.
Well, yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. What you mean that they like their work so much they want to continue it?
Yeah, the sociable element, and presumably. I feel sorry. You see white-haired guys on building sites and you think, I'm going to guess you're probably not there by choice. I could be wrong. I mean, heavy physical work.
Could be Max Clifford on a working party.
It could be, yes. It's a bit of a curveball. Could be Cliff Richard forgetting his hair dye. I don't know. Where do you want to go with that? Have you been drinking cocktails?
No.
Secretly?
My point is that a lot of people are working. You know, we're not all in this work utopia where we just can't get enough of our colleagues that we've all got to go in so that the people can moan about the old guy who always gets everything wrong. A lot of people are working because the pension's crap. That's why. So
yeah.
So you're forcing people into a poverty trap, but it's okay. They're old people. Who cares? That's the attitude of this country.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I genuinely think that, I've got to get Brexit in briefly. I just did it there. I think the government has got to give something back to people who are doing tough, manual, low-paid jobs, and I include older people in that, building sites and so on.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to make a vast generalisation that they were all voting for Brexit, but there is a feeling that there's a kind of dissatisfaction that was part of the mix in that vote. And I think if politicians want to heed anything, they should heed some of that anger. That you can't keep hitting an underclass forever, for them to say, "Oh, well, that's fine, you carry on and tickle my tum."
But this plan surely just makes another underclass out of older people. That's the aim of this, and I think there's some kind of thought. And I heard somebody involved in politics saying this, is saying, I can't wait until the Tories get out because all their voters are dying, and eventually it'll all be the socialist voters that will come. And somebody said, are you thick or what? You don't think people change their politics as they get older, as their needs change and they become different? But people really believe that old people vote Conservative, young people vote Labour, and of course, we're not as binary as that.
No, it's much more complicated.
It's a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, it's stupid people, and this is somebody involved in politics, as I say. So we don't think this is a goer, then, do we? You said to me, and I was worried because I think, oh my God, I get hit in the ghoulies twice with this one. But you're actually saying that you don't think that there's the remotest chance that this is ever going to float.
I did say that before we started recording.
You changed your mind since. You've had a cocktail.
I've changed my mind about working with you. That's what I meant. So this is my last Bull and Specs podcast.
Certainly past retirement age.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is heavy manual labour for me, sitting in a chair looking at a computer screen. We're still looking at you. Hey, look, the clock's ticking. I think that's my ultimate get-out. I will say it's part of a conversation of which I would also throw into the pot, just as a massive curveball at the end, which we haven't got time to discuss, universal basic income, which is a sort of related field, giving everyone a certain minimum pot of gold. I can see you shaking your head.
I don't know why you don't just
Sadly, our
mention
listeners
Uruguay.
gone.
And you can queue up for bread with all the rest of them.
Right. Well, as I say, we haven't got time to discuss it. I hear what you say. I will pass on your comments.
I hear you're
to my
Uruguay.
cocktail
I'll
friend.
raise you a Cuba.
I was thinking more Venezuela myself.
Oh,
but,
fancy throwing that in as a last minute.
yeah. Actually, I've got one more thing to throw in, which is my headgear for our listeners. I do actually look like, as you say, it's sort of one part of the look of being an Hasidic Jew, but I'm not. And I'm not going down that route because
we should,
too controversial.
We should.
But
go on.
Yes.
Gas
No.
mask as well.
I was just going to say, just to throw it in. If you've missed out on the pictures this week, that's me tapping the gas mask. If you wonder what the noise is,
that is awesome.
It's not me tapping my titanium elbow, but that's another story for another week. See the pictures next time, which is at YouTube. You search Bull and Specs with the "and" being, what is it, Shane? It's not spelling out "and," it is.
It's the ampersand above the number 7, Adrian.
Thank you very much. You were listening the other week. Fantastic stuff. And I'll let you do the spritzer, spreaker, deaker, itchy, witchy, Davy, dozy, beaky, mick and titch.
If you want to hear me wheezing and him making me wheeze, Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, all of your podcast aggregators. We do try and get about on all of them. So please subscribe, please like, all the usual please. We're just a bunch of miserable pleaders.
See you later, aggregator.
Until next time, I really, with you with the bowler hat on, I really want to say, I know my place. I look up to him.
Oh, I look down at him. Yeah, but I look up at him with the gas mask.
We'll see you next time on the Bull and Specs podcast. Thanks for being with us.